Does your dog zone out when he's under pressure? That's not surprising. Many dogs manifest stress-induced inattention, and there's nothing he can do about it, unless you help him out. Discover what happens to your dog's brain when under stress. Picture this. You have spent a pleasant hour on a nature trail with your reactive dog and your husband, and as you head toward your car, you spot an off-leash dog in the distance. Suddenly, your dog lunges forward and the leash slips right through your hands like a slippery bar of soap. Your otherwise calm and well-behaved dog has now transformed into a fur-covered rocket, lunging at full force towards the off-leash dog. Next thing you know, you are desperately calling your dog's name, but he is totally oblivious to your desperate calls and cares less about your cookie. At some point, you're wondering, does he even hear me? Is he voluntarily ignoring me? Did he forget everything he learned in training class? Thankfully, the off-leash dog's owner quickly intervenes, calling their dog back and leashing them. Crisis averted. But now you're left with a lingering worry about what could have happened. Well, here's some important news. When your dog undergoes a very strong emotional response, whether it's fear, excitement, or anxiety, his brain just goes haywire and undergoes a dramatic transformation. He's not deliberately ignoring you. It's as if a complex tug-of-war is happening between his cerebral cortex and his limbic system, but there are ways to remedy this. Let's discover more about what's happening under the hood and why your normally attentive companion suddenly goes off the rails. Meet your dog's cerebral cortex. Your dog's cerebral cortex is where all the magic of learning happens. It's the part of the brain involved with processing information, understanding your cues, and retaining all those training sessions you've invested in. In order for your dog to make a connection between your cue, his behavior, and consequences, it's important that this part of the brain is activated. When this part of the brain is in charge, it can be said that your dog remains focused and in an attentive state. He's capable of responding to your cues, whether it's calling him or asking him to sit and stay. Meet your dog's limbic system. On the opposite side of the spectrum is your dog's limbic system. This part of your dog's brain is responsible for emotions, survival instincts, and the fight-or-flight response. The limbic system is basically the brain's first responder, the so-called act now, think later mechanism, which is always ready to kick into high gear when something scary, exciting, or life-threatening happens. If a dog's ancestors were capable of surviving throughout the years in a world of predators and many lurking dangers, we must thank this emotional powerhouse. The battle of the brains. When your dog experiences strong emotions such as fear or excitement, a complex tug-of-war occurs between the limbic system and the cerebral cortex. In this context, the limbic system, being the brain's emotional engine blessed with an ancient history honed over millions of years, takes control of the situation. With the limbic system in overdrive, your dog's more rational parts of his brain therefore get put on the back burner. After all, this makes perfect sense. Your dog's cerebral cortex is slower to react. The cerebral cortex acts like a rational and careful planner that takes its time to assess a situation and critically decide the ideal approach. It's not like, in a life or death situation, the limbic system has time to consult with the cerebral cortex to make decisions on the best course of action. With the limbic system in full force, now you know why your dog acts like he's forgotten everything he's learned. What really happens when your dog ignores you. So your dog's limbic system hits the gas pedal the moment your dog spots a dog, cat, squirrel, or whatever. Next thing you know, he's tensing up. His brain is flooded with a smorgasbord of hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. With these hormones secreted in high levels, your dog gets more and more out of control. With your dog's cerebral cortex being pushed to the sidelines and his limbic system's switch flipped on, it's no wonder why he's struggling to hear you. There's no space for rational thinking or active learning. Your dog is therefore not deliberately ignoring you when he's stressed or excited, nor is he being stubborn or disobedient. It's just that your dog's brain is primed to prioritize his emotional response over his cognitive functioning. The secret to opening the lines of learning. By now, it should be clear to you that it's close to impossible to train a dog when his brain is hijacked by the limbic system. With the limbic system running the show, even learned cues may have no effect when your dog is already wound up. Your dog may refuse to sit or lie down, or he may do so absent-mindedly and fail to stay focused. Sometimes even dangling a slice of bologna in your dog's face may have no effect. Trying to get your dog's attention in these cases is like asking a child to solve a math problem in the middle of a roller coaster ride. Good luck in getting anything to stick. So what to do in these cases? Often the best approach is to go back to the drawing board, so to say. Practice in areas free of distractions and when your dog is in a calm and relaxed state. This way, your dog is most receptive to learning as his limbic system isn't hogging all the brain power. As your dog performs well in this state, then you can very gradually start introducing mild distractions. 5. Tips to help your dog stay cool under pressure. Here are some further general tips to help your dog keep his cool when under pressure. 1. Build a strong foundation. A solid foundation will make it less likely for your dog's training to crumble apart. Practice your dog's cues in a calm and familiar environment, and make sure he is responding fluently before moving to an area with more distractions. 2. Progress very gradually. Slow and steady wins the race. Once you have obtained steady, fast responses in calm environments, it's time to up the game, but in a controlled way. For dogs who are reactive towards other dogs, the goal is to start with a distance where the dog is under the threshold. 3. Go high value. When competing with distracting stimuli, it's important to invest in high-value foods. Look for treats that trigger your dog to drool buckets of saliva and use them specifically for these training, behavior modification sessions. 4. Interrupt early. Become a pro in reading your dog's body language. Before he reaches his limbic, non-responsive state, there are likely subtle cues that are going unrecognized. It is far easier to interrupt your dog at this early state than when he's already barking and lunging ahead. 4. Train impulse control. Impulse control training can help your dog learn how to better control his impulses and gain some self-control. Start this training early so as to help your dog make good choices, even when the world gets a little too exciting, such as when around children, having guests over, or being around other dogs. 5. Work with a professional. If your dog is reactive, you want to manage your dog's environment as much as possible and work with him under the threshold. On top of training, you may also want to implement some behavior modification techniques based on desensitization and counterconditioning with the help of a force-free dog trainer. Happy training!